Good morning.
Oh, okay. A bit slow getting going today, guys. Yeah, isn't that interesting? So what am I talking about? Yeah, Apple announced support for cycling as part of Apple Maps. Isolated, that's not particularly interesting in the fact that no one actually uses Apple Maps and it's a pretty dead soft. But I think what's more interesting is if they open that API up, like for example, Wahoo Fitness uses Apple Maps. So therefore, they'll be able to build in routing and elevation into their app without really having done anything. I used to have a little bit to do with Apple, but I know that when they used to announce a product, specifically around education and the iPad, right, that it changed conversations in meetings, it changed conversations with government because simply Apple were releasing a product. And that's why I think this is interesting, because if Apple are saying, you know what, we're not only going to continue this mapping feature, we're going to continue this mapping feature with cycling as a feature part of it. But worst case scenario, it's a feature in Apple Maps that's easily integrated into said young developer's app that makes the phone the bike computer. Now, just reminding you of our relationship, okay? This is not a situation where I research things and then put up a really good, informative, well-researched, descriptive vlog. No. Guys, remember, the situation here is very, very simple. Chris has an idea in his head, does a video about it, then we have the discussion in the comment section where you correct me with all the mistakes that I've made, and that's how the process works. Think of me as more as the idiot fool uncle that makes the mistakes that the rest of the family learns from.
Tell you what, I'm up here at Bob and Head, and you know what I'm not going to do? Go up and down this hill 55 times. Do you know who did something like that? Yeah, another Everest. No, Dylan McKenna went and Everested. I realise I make that sound kind of lame, but it's a pretty awesome effort. It's an amazing effort. So well done, mate. A few of you have asked, Chris, why haven't you done an Everest attempt? The number one reason is not a good enough cyclist. The second reason is I actually value in riding a bike and enjoying it, and that's terrible. And the number three reason is, guys, Everesting was so May. It was so May 2020. I reckon it goes like this. April, it's all gravel bike, mountain bikes. May, 400k days. June, Everesting. What will be July? What will be COVID July thing? Actually, I'll tell you what it will be. In Sydney, it'll be club racing. So I did leave something out of the phone vlog, which I kind of thought was a bit niche and a bit irrelevant, but I should have trusted you guys. A few of you guys noticed on one of the rides I did on it that there was really low power, then no power, and then power again. So that was due to the fact that in the Wahoo Fitness app, you could not set the crank length for the Asiomas in the app. I just had totally forgotten about that and started riding, realised I was doing 115 watts and thought, hang on, what's going on here? So the solution, the fix, is simply just to use the Asioma app, which overrides everything. So you set the crank length in there and it'll send the correct details to whatever app you're using. So just a note, if you're going to go down that route, make sure you use the Asioma app to set it up. Actually, I thought you guys might find this interesting. We were up around Akuna Bay on the weekend, and Jesse's doing some 20-minute efforts. Roll the clip, Chris. It's a bit foggy. It's Akuna Bay on a Saturday. If you spot yourself, comment below. But yeah, here we go. Roll the tape. Again, apologies for the foggy nature of the video, but that is Akuna Bay in winter, unfortunately. Not too bad. Hey, so what I want to pull out from this, guys, is this is a really undulating effort from Jesse. So it's a 20-minute effort over a bit of terrain that has ups and downs and all kinds of bits and pieces. And I want you to look in a couple of places here. The top left is the gradient, and the bottom right two figures are 30-second power and original power. And what I want you to sort of note from these is effectively how consistent they are across, number one, the varied terrains, and number two, the varied periods of the effort. So those of you that know Akuna probably know that this is the climbing part of it, the steeper section of the Akuna climb, and it's sort of 8-9%, probably 10% in a little bits of areas. And the point here is you can see that his power is quite sort of similar to what it was in the original part of the effort down on the flatter zones. Now, as we come up out of the climb, we're basically on flat roads. And again, I want you to sort of have a look at how consistent the power is on these particular areas. Just up over another little undulating part here. And then into the final sector of the effort here. The reason I'm pulling this bit out is, so he's doing multiple 20-minute efforts, and this is a mistake that I fall into all the time, is he's not surging at the end of his effort. He's, again, keeping it so consistent. I mean, how many of us, myself included, do that kind of last 30, 40 seconds sort of cram to get better numbers in? And I tell you what happens half the time we do that, is we bail on the next effort. Do you know what I mean? So you can kind of see he's almost tempering down towards the top end of it to this, I think, was his first or maybe second one, I can't remember, but to almost not put yourself too much in the box to convince yourself to go and do another one. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. The other reason I'm harping at you for kind of smoothing out your rides a bit, let's say there's a group of 6 or 7 out, or less, 3 or 4. Pretty similar abilities, but slightly different. And you'll always see this. The one stronger guy surges up every little hill, gets to the top, dropped his mates, and he's like, oh, where are they? Well, you just put them in the box. That's what you did. So our point here is, if you're riding with groups of slightly different abilities, not drastically, there's a massive benefit to this because it smooths the ride out for that person a little bit off the back. And the strong guy, whack it on the downhill, push you harder there, and your slightly weaker mate, he's living a much better life. I've been watching a good bit of old racing. Any of you follow me on Instagram or Strava, I've been putting a few up. Been watching a few on Instagram, on YouTube, right? I won't mention the channel because I think it's probably illegal. Alejandro. I was having a bit of fun on Instagram, pulling out his knee warmers and short sleeves, but geez, he could pull it off, couldn't he? Watching a good bit of world championship racing. Alejandro could get a world champs medal, couldn't he? But which kind of brings up a point, like, I just reckon a world championship silver or bronze is probably like the most underrated achievement in cycling, because those races are so brutal, and a lot of them come down to millimeters, obviously. And the guys like Gerrans, like, oh man, such an underrated ride. I think it was the Kwiatkowski win that year. Such an underrated ride. Like, and it's funny, like, you look at the Olympics or something in other sports, and silver and bronze, massive achievement. Cycling, silver medal, world champs, well, you failed. Who do you reckon is the most underrated sort of world tour pro of that, like, 07 to like now period? I reckon it's a really interesting era, because let's not beat around the bush, you're kind of coming out of that drug phase. There you go, I said it. Who do you think is most underrated, and just in your opinion, right? Most underrated World Tour pro of that like 07 to kind of around now period? Because it's an interesting time. Discovering cycling, well, okay, a little bit because of YouTube. That's certainly where I first found. You know, you're getting dodgy race streams and things like that, and I'd never seen this stuff before. So let's call it the YouTube era, and let's say your most underrated World Tour pro. So it looks a little bit more official that Elizabeth's going to be spending some more time working from home, just the way the uni announced any date yet? No.
Tentative dates.
It's tentative dates.
For me.
So that's kind of what we're doing. But that's just quickly, guys, I wanted to ask you a question or your opinion on something. So, as you know, DJI, God rest its soul, we lost it. But what I want to ask you is this. Now, the field of view that you've been witnessing on the GoPro is quite wide. So what I'm going to do is put two sort of shots up right now, and I'm interested in your thoughts, what you prefer, because as you can see, the GoPro on one side will have a much wider field of view, which is essentially less crisp, okay? The downside of the GoPro is I don't have a screen. I can't see what I'm filming. I have no idea what I'm filming. It's just point and shoot, point and hope. And that was always the benefit of any kind of front-facing screen. You'll probably see where this is going. Upcoming vlogs, I'll talk to you more about it. But just for now, I'm really interested to know which field of view do you prefer in these two shots, okay? And then I'll tell you why I'm asking in the future. Oh, I've got some very, very exciting news. It's just there. It's just out of shot. Do you like how I did that? It's just out of shot. In fact, here you go, which is... Anyone who can tell what that was, you get one. If it's a thing, might even be a thing, all right? Elizabeth, you got anything to say?
Hurry up and help me.
Hurry up and help you. All right, bye-bye. And the other question, guys, I'd love an answer to is, okay, what's been your favourite backlit image right here, right now? Beautiful, isn't it? How good is that? Backlighting. Are we handling that? Are we handling backlight? They're very confused. They're like, what is he talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. 2008 Milan Sanremo. Go check it out. One of the best. Like, so many of them finished in bunchies, but that one, what an absolute banger of a finish. I won't give it away, but cracker. Get into it.